So for the final thing we're going to do for this section for day 15 is solving radical equations. And so if we have a problem like this, the goal is to solve for x to see what solves this. It could have a solution, it could have no solution. It could have one real solution and possibly an extraneous solution, and things like that do happen in these instances, so we'll have to look into that. But if we were going to solve something like this, we want to get rid of the square root. So we're going to start off by squaring both sides. 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16. Square root squared is just what's left on the inside, so x plus 2. We subtract 2. We have 14 is equal to x. We just want to verify that, and that this step is necessary in most cases. Although in this one you can kind of see right away. You could probably do this in your head. 4 is equal to the square root of 16. And we know that's true, so then x is equal to 14 is our solution to this one. For the next one, we have the square root of 5x minus 1 is equal to the square root of 3x plus 1. So in this case, we can square both sides. Okay. This gives us 5x minus 1 is equal to 3x plus 1. We add 1. 5x is equal to 3x plus 2. We subtract 3x. 2x is equal to 2, and then we divide by 2. X is 1, so if we do that, we'll check the answer. 5 times 1 minus 1 is equal to the square root of 3 times 1 plus 1. We put a question mark because we're unsure. This is going to be the square root of 4. Square root of 5 minus 1 is equal to square root of 3 plus 1, which is the square root of 4, is equal to the square root of 4, which we know is true. Therefore, x is equal to 1 is the solution that works. It is not extraneous, and so we can actually say, hey, this one works. Okay, last but not least, this one's one of the more challenging ones. This one takes a little bit more work. So if we're going to do this, we are going to take the square root of 8 minus m. 2m plus 2 is equal to negative 3. Now, if we try to square both sides, we're going to run into some crazy problem, and we don't want to have that happen. So we're going to start off by moving one of the square roots to the other side. I'm going to move the 2m plus 2, because it's negative, plus 2, square root. And now we have the square root of 8 minus m is equal to negative 3 plus square root of 2m plus 2. Okay, let's fix that. 2m plus 2. Now, if we want to square both sides, notice I put parentheses. We must do this way, in this fashion. So this is going to be simply 8 minus m is equal to negative 3 plus square root 2 plus 2 plus square root 2m plus 2. Okay, so we have that. We're going to fill that out. This is 8 minus m is equal to negative 3, and negative 3 is 9. Negative 3 times this is negative 3 square root of 2m plus 2. This times this is negative 3 square root 2m plus 2. And square root of 2m plus 2 times square root of 2m plus 2 is just plus 2m plus 2. Okay, that's a lot. So let's combine like terms. We can move this stuff over. We can minus 8, add m. This is now 0 is equal to 1 minus 6 square root of 2m plus 2. This minus 6 came from those two adding together to give us negative 6 times that. We have plus 3m. And then we have plus 2 So let's move this to the other side, plus 6 square root 2m plus 2. And this gives us 6 square root 2m plus 2 is equal to, we have 1 and 2, so 3 plus 3m. Okay, we're going to square both sides. 6 squared is 36. 2m squared plus 2 is just 2m plus 2. Then we have, we're going to FOIL this out. This is a perfect, so this is a 3 perfect square trinomial. This is going to give us 9 plus 3 times 3, 9, 18 m squared. Okay, so this is going to give us 72m, 9 plus 18m, minus 72m, minus 72. This is 9m squared, oh gosh. 72 is 8, 18 is 2, 8 minus 2 is 6, so this is 54. 54m minus 63 is equal to 0. We can factor out a 9. This is m squared minus 6m minus 7 is equal to 0. So this is 0 is equal to m squared minus 7. We do the x method, negative 7, negative 6, that's going to be negative 7, and 1. M minus 7, m plus 1. So m equals 7 or negative 1. Now we have to check those answers. So we go all the way back to the beginning. We had the original. So these are our possible. And then we plug those in. So we'll try m equals 7. That's 8 minus 7 minus square root of 2 times 7 plus 2 is equal to negative 3, question mark. I plugged in m, this is m, and this is m. I plugged that into this original equation up here. Okay, so this is 8, square root of 8 minus 7 is square root of 1 minus the square root of 14 plus 2 is equal to negative 3, which is the square root of 1 is 1 minus the square root of 16 is 4, negative 3. And negative 3 is equal to negative 3. Check. So, m equals 7 is a solution so far. Then we have to plug negative 1. So let's do that. We have this following. Square root of 8 minus negative 1. And then minus square root of 2 times negative 1 plus 2 is equal to negative 3. So this is the square root of 8 plus 1 question mark minus the square root of negative 2 plus 2 is negative 3, which is square root of 9 minus square root of 0 is negative 3. And this is 3 minus 0 equals negative 3, which is bad. Therefore, m equals negative 1 is not a solution. So your answer here is m equals 7. M equals negative 1 is what we call extraneous. Okay, so that would be your solution. That would be your extraneous solution. And that is why we have to make sure we check to make sure that it works. Because if it doesn't work, if this equation is not satisfied with the value we plug in, it's called extraneous, and it's important that we know which ones are extraneous. Thank you guys. If you have questions, make sure you ask.